Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we have the amazing Zoe Davenport on with us talking about restoring inner harmony with plant and earth wisdom. And Zoe's going to take us into some ruts about what's really coming up with the 2025 intense energies that are happening. And when we say they're intense, there's so many components to that. And I want to go deeper in that with Zoe, because I'm sure many of y'all, as I have been feeling different states of beingness that aren't necessarily fluid, but they're all illuminating different aspects of ourselves that are not only waking up, but that are really transcending to a new way of being and creating. And so with that, she's also going to talk about ways to tap into elevated energies to align with a higher self and how to harness that pivotal or this pivotal year so we can have those deep breakthroughs and expanded consciousness. So it's going to be a great call. We are going to get into a lot of Q&A, I hope. So if you're live on the line, you want to raise your hand and ask Zoe one of your personal burning questions, we can dive into that. Um, and it's with that, Zoe, that I want to welcome you to today's edition of BTO.
Oh, thanks, John. I always love your beautiful opening gateways into the conversations that we're going to have. And it's such a pleasure to be here with everyone again. So thanks for having me.
Well, I love it. You can start off first because in your bio, as a lot of people have seen on the site, and as we send out the emails, you speak of being a multidimensional channel, a spiritual mentor, and a divine oracle. And I love it if you can give some context that so that people can really know what's available as you transmit and share what's coming through for you.
Yeah, so I'm always sharing this with you that the titles and trying to kind of grasp the correct terminology at the time is always shifting and changing. And what I have found over the years is the more you open up your higher energy centers and the more that you're grounding into your physical body and the more that you're opening up those lower base energy centers and working with the earth, you start to have this kind of multidimensional awareness of life. And so you start to kind of open up your capacity to see your past self, your present self, your future self, your higher self, and your multidimensional version of self. And I'm talking about the versions of us that have had many soul experiences in different dimensions and different soul groups and different clusters of galaxies far, far away, and also the human experiences that we've had here on Earth. And so when we dive into this work a bit more deeply, we're able to access those nuggets of information within us that help us for our human and our journey in this incarnation. And it helps to open up the pathways to deeper alignment for why we're here.
Mm. And in what you share and the way that you assist people to open those pathways, it's what you do, they can do also. How you tune
100%.
in, there's access to that as well. So there's these layers and we come in, but the money's not in the bank or the relationship isn't working out or I'm stuck in this other thing. And for me, I feel that the gift of those is that it's leading us to a place where we seek a reconciliation so that we can have a more expanded relationship again with that cosmic intelligence.
Yes, exactly. And it's a game of trust and surrender and allowing and working with the mind's capacity to understand that it doesn't need to understand all of what's happening. And the ego loves to create a separation, an illusion from something that isn't here, right? And I was talking to a client about this today, that they were not in awareness of the season of life that they were in. And once we align them to the season, they were able to surrender the ego expectation of what wasn't showing up for them in this moment and allow a gateway to open for what they are meant to be doing. And we can be so distracted with the mind's expectation, especially when it comes to things like manifesting, and wanting to create more in our lives. Why wouldn't we want to create more in our lives? But we create more and more separation when we start to put these rules and attachments and control systems in place. And so it's this daily dance of reminding ourselves that we are non-linear, and that the way that we are showing up in our new version of self is non-linear. And so the way that we are creating, the way that we are receiving, the way that we are having our experiences is also non-linear. But then we go back to these linear expectations. And so that it is this dance of remembrance every single day. And I have to remember this myself as well, because sometimes life can get the better of us and we can forget. And it's so instantaneous when we shift our emotional state as to sometimes the external experiences that we can be having, but it doesn't necessarily always happen that way. And so then there's the patience piece that has to come in with it as well. And that's particularly what is present for so many people that I'm having conversations with at the moment, is there's this sense of, especially if we look at this linear calendar of 2025, and then we're halfway through 2025. So then there's this expectation of time that we're halfway through something, we're running out of time. And this year is not necessarily a season of mass growth. It's actually a season of clearing and planting seeds and really diving in deep to what we are ready to fully surrender, all aspects of our attachments to the old paradigm, which is attaching to the old self, to the old identity, and being comfortable in that void space, being comfortable in that not knowing space. And that's the work.
It is the work, and again, it's the enlightenment that's happening in that. And again, you've spoken being in a particular season, and 2025 feels like a particular season. It's funny enough, but it's sometimes I get confused remembering if we're in 2024 or 2025. It's almost like 2025 feels like it's the future and not here yet. And there's this newness, this integration, and this recalibration into how we make physical sense of the huge changes that are occurring within our own system right now. What's your awareness with the people that you're working with and what you're receiving from spirit about more about this wave of 2025, other than being a period of not manifesting and really honing in? What are some key themes that are coming up that you're aware of?
So there's a deep sense of uncertainty, and there's a deep sense of uncertainty that's pivoting between complete trust and surrender and complete fear and devastation. And what I mean by that is there is so many intricately placed subconscious programs within our subconscious psyche and our awareness of the collective field that it can be hard to find that balance of neutrality in the center, in the middle, and to hold that presence and to find that stillness, no matter which direction is created, because part of the physical reality that we're embodied in at the moment is in duality. And duality is very much kind of splitting, whereas before we may have noticed it as a smaller shift from day to day, but now this is happening slightly with more intensity. And so there could be a day where what I'm noticing with my clients and lots of people that I'm speaking to is there a day where it feels very calm and peaceful and grounded, very centered, very connected. And then there can be another day where it can feel literally like you are in that washing machine. And then there's another day where it's like, oh, I don't know what I was so worried about. I feel okay again. And there is no magic path through this other than to find self and to find that stillness and to constantly come back to that remembering that we chose to be here at this time, and that if it was easy, everyone would be doing this, and it's not, but we chose this. And in the challenging times, also does not have to be hard work. It doesn't have to feel like we are sludging up the hill. And if it gets to those points, we need to reset and ask, what am I actually doing? What am I thinking about? What am I focused on? What are my expectations, and where are my attachments, and where am I trying to control? Because it's always coming back to the ego. It's always coming back to that illusion of separation. And so that's kind of the daily reminder that helps us through this 2025. But I agree with you, John. I don't really feel 2024, if we look at it linearly, like ever ended. I feel like this is this kind of strange, when you're in a leap year, it feels kind of like that. Or there's this extra day in February. It feels like 2025 is this extra day that we weren't quite ready for yet, but it's happening.
But it's happening, and we're definitely navigating it. When you talk about finding ourselves in that place of this changing energy from one day to the next, and you talked about what our expectations are, and maybe how we're forward projecting something that we don't have to forward project into. How is it that you're helping your clients really land more in that center, not be so dysregulated, and really get into a period of more trust within themselves and the journey that they've been on that really demonstrates what they're capable of navigating, but also really dropping into, and I believe everybody on this call probably feels something, at least a kindling of this, but there's a faith of something awakening. And what is it that we can do to really foster that, knowing that faith that there is an expansion taking place, and not go down the rabbit holes that would have us in those places of confusion and forgetting ourselves, where we came from and what we've been capable of as of so far?
So the biggest disconnect that I'm seeing is the expectations that somebody thought that they would be in a different space by now. So again,
Mm,
there's that attachment to time, there's attachment to linear time, there's attachment to space. And when we are working beyond the constructs of the mind and the ego attachment to these lower based consciousnesses, which keep us in this third dimensional space, we are learning how to navigate beyond that spectrum of light, that holographic field. And that is not an easy thing to do. But the more that we are showing up every day, right, am I in my heart? Am I in my body? Did I remember to breathe? Do I feel grounded? Where have my expectations been leading me outside of myself that I'm forgetting that center? Where am I choosing to focus on the worry as opposed to choosing to shift my emotional state? Thank you. Where am I letting go of understanding that I get to take full responsibility for my life and my energy and how I feel and how I choose to react and how I choose to respond? Where am I not reminding myself daily that this is my not self theme? Where is the truth of who I am? And this is the mastery, John. And this sometimes can be triggering for the ego to hear, because the ego wants to attach to the story. The ego wants to attach to the drama. The ego wants to attach to the external proof and validation of what it's being mirrored back to in the physical reality. But in order to detach from that, we must come into mastery with self. And it's not to control the external reality, but it is to find the peace and stillness within that storm, within
mm,
that fire, within whatever is happening in the life. And it's not to abandon self. It's not to abandon the human emotion. It's not to diminish the experiences of life, but it is to find the stillness through that.
mm. Beautiful. And you spoke of attachments, and I want to get into that in a little bit. And the phrase, the truth of who I am, and I want to dive deeper into that also. But everybody on the call that's just hopping on also, Zoe is available for live Q&A. So if you want to raise your hand, type questions into your chat box, take advantage of this time. And we'll get into the special offer with Zoe in a little bit also, but there is an opportunity to work one-on-one with Zoe in a private session, which she only offers here at that type of discount on BTO. So If you know that you want to have a session, the link for the special offer is underneath the video where you're watching the call. Chris or April, type it into the chat box. There it is. So again, if you know you want to sign up and get on the calendar sooner rather than later, just know that that link is up there. Creating from a place in the re-identities and the attachments. Again, we have attachments of outcome, but there's also an attachment to comfort, even if that comfort meant that we were sacrificing or acquiescing different things that we know were true about how we were moving forward, or a calling that was stirring within us. The attachment to comfort is really strong. And a lot of times we think that we're making big changes, and really there's small degrees of changes that feel they're impactful because it's huge to let those things go. But I feel that 2025 is really acting as a catalyst to re-identify what those changes are, and making the comfortable so uncomfortable that we're really faced with having to make the adjustments in the expansion of consciousness that we're all experiencing.
The more that we can allow ourselves to become uncomfortable with the current reality, that is where that deep transformation and change happens. We are not going to make those shifts sat on the sofa or doing the same things every day. That definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting change to happen. We have to be the catalyst for that change. We have to decide that we are going to flow with the energies as opposed to fighting against it, right? And I was talking to a client about this today as well, where they were looking at their external reality and blaming themselves that they weren't doing enough, or that they were wrong, or something hadn't been released yet. And I reminded them, if that thing had been released at the time that you expected it to, you weren't ready for that exposure. Or reminding yourself of the season that you're in can release this pressure that we are so accustomed to putting on ourselves. And I think, John, this is where sometimes there's this kind of disconnect between our spiritual awakening, and then we start to learn about manifesting, and then the mind gets really focused on the manifesting part because it wants to have a more abundance in our lives, right? But then we're forgetting that deep soul journey, that deep soul embodiment. We're forgetting to really allow ourselves to be led and guided. But we have to put ourselves into a space of uncomfortability. And I'm not saying to you listening at home to suddenly just go quit your job and trust the universe that everything will work out. It's getting yourself uncomfortable when you're listening to what you need to be uncomfortable about. And sometimes that's taking a risk and being okay with that risk not being the thing that works out for you, because there's the lesson and the gift and the sweetness in that, right? And so I think sometimes the mind also is so ready to trip ourselves up that we have done something wrong in our awakening journey, in our ascension journey. And I see this a lot with clients over the years, where they feel that they want a deeper connection to their higher self. They want to have more of an intuitive connection. And my reminder of that is, okay, what are you doing every day to nourish that? What are you doing every day to become into mastery of that? And that's a disconnect, because there's the lack of consistency. There's a lack of continuity. And 2025 is, as we were saying, it kind of feels like it's a year, but it's like to the side. This is a year of completion. It's a year of transformation, if we allow it to be, that we are transforming, if we command it to be. And it is a year of recalibrating through our nervous system so that we can hold more truth, which is more light, so that we can process that light and embody ourselves at that higher state of frequency. And that's when that sweet spot happens of synchronicity and alignment, and things start to open and there is flow. And then when we are not so much in that elevated state, even if we are in a period of life where there is things that are happening, we are in responsibility and mastery, that it is not beholden to us, that we are not, it is not kind of running us under the ground. We are rising above it. It's like, oh, there's this thing falling apart, but that's okay because I'm in my truth. Oh, this thing didn't work out. That's okay. I'm being redirected. I'm flow. I'm like water. My expectations of what this thing was is taking longer. Okay, what do I need to learn before that thing can come in? And that's our training ground that we're in at the moment. And when we look at it on the macro scale of the shifts that are happening globally, we've been talking about this, you know, since 2020, 2019, 2012. There were going to be these poignant moments and years of deep collective spiritual awakening, and 2025 is one of those years. And I'm seeing and recognizing this so much in the day-to-day conversations that I'm having with people in Uber cars and in the shops and at the grocery store. People are waking up. People are starting to see through the illusion of what they've been programmed to believe as life. And they're starting to ask different questions, and they're going to start receiving answers from the universe. And it's really exciting to watch. We'll see.
Well, and the polarity of being in discomfort as to the patterns that we want to change and the incremental changes that are happening and how we embrace them. The other side of that is that the energies that are calling us forward and again, this huge expansion of consciousness that is undeniable, and we're seeing it globally, like you're saying, um, is that we also get to recognize how far we've come, what we have acquired, and the energies are also calling us the consciousness. I don't even want to call it the energies because it's a consciousness, it's an intelligence. It's calling us to really own what we have acquired, own what has become alive and within us, and to put it forward. It's not just not given so it can sit sedentary. It's a creative force that has chosen us to create with as we have chosen to be in relationship with it. And some of this comfort is, what do I do with this? Who am I now? Can I really be receiving that? Can I share openly about that? Who am I to say this particular thing to that particular person or in conversation? It might not be received. It might not be politically correct. Um, and I don't know if I'm ready to embrace those parts of me that were easier to deny in the past.
Yeah, it's a choice that we came here to experience this at this time. And the fact that we have awakened, that choice has been activated within us. And the more that we remember that this was a choice, we had free will, we have free will to continue this journey or not, or we can go back into the matrix system of the programs if we choose. But I don't think we really want to, not deeply in our heart. And so it's allowing ourselves to open fully to that expression, open fully to how that consciousness wants to flow through us and manifest itself through us in what we choose to create and how we choose to show up and what we choose to talk about. And that all has a massive impact and influence on the collective spectrum of consciousness at a macro level, right? Everyone that we're having conversations with, everything that we're doing has an effect and impact, right? I'm sure you've experienced this, those of you listening at home. When you are in your higher heart space and you are grounded and you are fully present, people feel it and they have an impactful experience around you. You don't have to say anything. They feel it. They know something is different about you, and you are mirroring back to them the potential within themselves. And that is all any of us can do. And that's that beautiful, beautiful gift that we have to embody on this planet at this time. And the byproduct, how we show up, podcasts, shows, books, amazing. It's all fun. But that presence is potent.
Wonderful, Zoe. I love the way that you're articulating that. It's something that you did earlier, and it was nuanced, and I know some of y'all caught this, but you said thank you to the side. I love if you give a little bit of context for that, for people who may be new to you on the show.
Yeah. So when I am in conversations like this, what I am doing is connecting into my higher self, and any of our teams of, I call them, I mean, I just call it divine frequencies. You can represent it as beings of light, as your angels, as your guides. I just see it as a stream of consciousness. And so I have an auditory channel in my right ear. And so whenever I'm talking and then they're adding something extra, I say, oh, yeah, thank you. That's
Mm.
something I've done for years.
You can connect that. And we're going to get into a little bit of Q&A here in a second. But I want to go back to what I alluded to earlier. Um, you mentioned becoming who you truly are. What does that mean to you, or being true to yourself? It wasn't even true to yourself, but there's an interpretation to the truth of who you are. I think that was more accurate. For some people, the truth of who you are is, but I'm spiritual and I'm connected and I'm supposed to be aligned in this way, and these things aren't supposed to happen, and I'm supposed to. Why do other people seem like they're on this path and they're not having these bumps? There must be something wrong with me because there are bumps in my life. And I wanted to bring a lot of compassion and also a lot of wisdom into those bumps are part of who we are. It's the truth of who we are. And birthing greater alignment into something that has always lived in us. And just because we're going through a bump, or because we're not connected in a particular way at a particular time, or because we feel a little more separate sometimes than we feel like we're part of. For me, and I want to get your awareness about this as well in your channel transmission. For me, who we are at core, the truth of who we are is love, it's compassion, it's dignity. Regardless of the waves of the ocean, the depths, it's truly the essence that allows those waves to form, to bring greater clarity, to provide a mechanism for which the debris on the top can be filtered and bring us back into that relationship with the pristine nature that we really are.
Hmm.
And so for me, that is the truth of who we are. The truth that I host a show, or that I'm a father, or that I'm all these other labels. Those are expressions of how I use that I use as mechanisms to share those different aspects of the truth of who I am, but they don't define the truth of who I am. And so I don't have to be the best show host in the world, or the most authentic, or the most in integrity for me to be the truth of who I am. Um, and I just wanted to share that because I feel it's necessary to provide a sense of peace and clarity, because that peace and clarity is what allows us to navigate these tidal waves of energetic motions that we're going through. And it's that piece of clarity that allow us to do it with greater grace, but also have compassion for others and understanding and empathy, because we understand that the ebbs and the flows are not the truth of who they are. And so for anyone who's having a hard time, just know, I know Zoe does also. I know Zoe extremely well. And I would say on behalf of both of us that we see the truth of who you are, and we hold you as such. And it's so important, again, that we hold that as best that we can as we're going through our own personal stuff, um, that we offer that grace to everyone as much as possible.
Mm. Oh. Mm.
Thank you. What do you see in the truth of who people are as you're working with someone? Again, we have the different ebbs and flows of life. Again, the roller coaster. Um, and you're helping them center so they can be in relationship with the potential of their most empowered self.
What I have found, John, over the years is there is so much fragmented in someone's awareness of who they are
Mm.
for various reasons of their past experiences and also their current experiences and also their expectations of their future. And then with that can create a dis-ease with really wanting to be in the physical body. And there's this kind of longingness to go home, this longingness to feel connection and community. And it all starts with coming back into the body. It all starts with accepting that the physical body is where we are now in this reality. And it all starts with accepting that sometimes we can't necessarily control the external experience of life, but we can control how we choose to respond to it. And the more that we can show up in our hearts, the more that we can remind ourselves to be fully present, the more that we can remind ourselves to find that center of stillness, the navigational tools of how to work with the external reality and how we are to move forward naturally opens up for us. And that deeper truth of who we are starts to reveal itself to us internally, to our external reflection, in who and how we feel we are in this human embodiment, and then also in the projection of the life around us. If I was to have told my 2008 version of me that I would be having this conversation with you, who I didn't know then, one day talking about this, I would have no idea what I was talking about, right? And if I think back to that 2008 version of me, as I started to go through that acceleration of awakening, there was this deep feeling in my heart that this facade, this ego, this personality that I had developed was a version of myself, but it wasn't the end version of who I was, right? And so fast forward to present day, that doesn't stop. That continues. We're continuing to embody ourselves even more deeply. And as John, you put this so eloquently, even in the shifts and changes of life. In fact, sometimes I feel when you really walk this path with integrity and authenticity, those massive life shifts are just as intense, but they are so deeply important to our alignment because we came here to really master that, to really master the version of ourselves that can walk through in that embodied heart space with that deep connection to love and compassion. And that is where that beautiful gift starts to open up for us. It is not about what you do for a job or how much money you have or the external. It is that internal peace, that deep, 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 deep peace.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. We're going to get into Q&A. Kim, you're on. I'll put you on in a second. I wanted to ask you though, what are some nuggets that you can share with us and here on the call and for everybody in the replay about how we can get back in our body more? Again, it's about getting back in our body, you said. What are some ways, and we know get out in nature, We know drink water. We know move our bodies. It's those are some of the basics that are wonderful to be reminded of. But there's anything else that comes that can be of benefit to everybody listening today.
Yeah. So there's a process that I really love to do, which is similar to tapping, but it just makes you aware of every single part of your body. And so when you're feeling a bit disconnected, it's kind of starting with the crown, and you can kind of like
Mm.
just lightly kind of flutter your fingertips. And you can even say out loud, I'm aware of my head, I'm aware of my forehead, I'm feeling my
Mm.
eyes, I'm feeling my nose, lips, neck. And you do that all the way down until you get to your feet. And massaging your feet at the end, and in general anyway, is a really, really, really good way of bringing yourself into your physical body. The soles of your feet actually act as a map of the body. So it represents all the zones and pathways of your energy lines. And then you have all your organs and tissues connected to the soles of your feet. So even kind of connecting, pressing certain pressure points is really, really good. Thank you. Another piece to this is doing some work around the body. Where are you judging your body based on a societal's expectation of what you think you should look like? And Instagram is awful for this now, because there is so much filters, and these kind of this beauty standard of 3D life is beyond most people's grasp. So there's a gift there in really tuning in to loving the version of you that's here now. And that can be done through mirror work, which can be really uncomfortable at first to really connect with you. I think most of the time, and I see this a lot with clients, is, they just put their clothes on and off they go. But really finding the beauty in all the parts of you, all the little folds and the wrinkles and the gray hair, whatever your thing is, every single person on this planet will have some type of judgment around their body. And so it's really coming into acceptance with your body. And most of the times, why people dismiss their body, or they don't take care of their body, or they're in sabotage of their body, is because they don't really want to be here and they don't really love their body, right? And so then we're choosing things that aren't in alignment with that. So that's another process which also helps you to have a deeper connection to your intuition. It helps you to feel more in your heart, and it helps you to channel those energies a bit more easily and more fluidly as well.
That's beautiful. I really love that, Zoe, and thank you for both. And I also want to bring up the awareness that there's a lot in consumerism and commercialization also that also profits dramatically from us being sedentary beings, consuming in front of a computer, consuming food, consuming information on a TV that are influencing certain things. Um, and to be conscious of our choices, to be conscious as though I really want to eat that. How's this serving me, and how's this serving the people that I love? Do I really need to consume that thing that is playing um, through a streaming service? Is that serving me to relax, to be at peace, to entertain me for a little bit? But am I just constantly going into it because I'm trying to avoid myself? Is being uncomfortable in my body causing me to separate myself from my joy and my play and this connection that feels more alive? And by just asking good questions with all our interactions, like really doing like an audit of our life on a daily basis for like a month, and being present with that and putting the work in there. When we do that, what gets enlightened on the other side, it's like you start showing up for yourself. You start making different decisions. You start getting a flow of vitality coming alive in you again. It's because you're participating in your life now rather than just consuming it based on what's being fed to you that you're not even aware is not even your choice. It's like you have five to pick up and you're picking one of the five. but there's so much else available to you. And it's just in the pausing and noticing that these other things start illuminating, and that act of devotion for self, like really choosing to devote to your higher self, to your love, to your vitality, and making that the non-negotiable,
Mhm. I love that.
right?
So
It's huge.
what I want to add to that as well that's coming through is when we have these awakening experiences, we can have these very spiritually enlightened moments of life, right? We can feel so euphoric and go on these journeys and feel these frequencies and this energy, and it feels so amazing. And then it's like we feel completely heavy and very kind of down, and we can't understand how we could be so elevated. And then we have these glimpses and snippets of a future potential of self. And what is actually happening is quite often we have to literally abandon our physical body to understand the potential of these higher frequencies of how we can understand ourselves in our future. And so then there's this accelerated version of self, but the physical body needs time to catch up to that. And so quite often it's not that you have done something wrong, it's the work is with the physical human integration.
Yeah.
And that is also what 2025 is inviting us into. And, you know, John, I've been doing this, well over a decade. I mean, 15, 16 years, if you count the body work and things I was doing before. The biggest disconnect I see is really not showing up for the body and the consistency every day. And that is the missing link. And if you are somebody that is resonating with this message, then I invite you to go deeper with your body, whether that's feeling into some type of deeper cleanse. As John was saying, perhaps it's a month of a detox, right? What are the distractions keeping you comfortable and safe and trapped in your current reality? Because that is where you are accepting your minimum standard. Where are you tolerating the version that you have got comfortable to be, but then having an ego attachment that things need to change? We need to take action for that to change. We're not going to wait for something in the sky to save us. We are here to embody ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, and interdimensionally and multidimensionally. And that is the invitation that we have.
I think truly that's the energies and the consciousness of 2025. Again, we started the call
100%.
what's 2025 have to say. I think that was just summed up
Yeah.
beautifully. We're being called up and out. And how
Yeah.
exciting is that? It's like it's time, and how wonderful. Let's go ahead and get into some Q&A. We'll go into the special offer in a little bit. Again, we're going a little bit long before we get into special offer, but know that there's an amazing class. There's 30-minute one-on-ones with Zoe. There's a library of just amazing tools that Zoe's providing to us as well. And again, we'll go more into detail on that. But again, the link, if you know that you want the live session or the one-on-one with Zoe, and you want to book it sooner rather than later, the link's in the chat box, and it's also in the video or in the link right underneath the video where you're watching today's call. And Kim, welcome to today's call. What's your question for Zoe today?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. And Zoe the cat has joined us as well. um, I am resonating with pretty much everything you all are talking about. I did Zoe's virtual retreat last month. Um, and I am like, I feel like I'm in the backlash of it. Like I'm feeling extra stuck and extra sticky and kind of curious. I guess my question is what this Zoe's a little mean. Um, if where you're seeing what season of my life I'm in, because I am uh like I said, feeling a little stick and sucky. And then I'm also in the United States and in California, and it's scary in this country. And I'm not trying to bring politics in here, but there's some scary shit going on, pardon my French. And so that's also kind of what's going on in this immediate world that I live in is also affecting me, and I'm feeling just like so stuck and so much inertia. And lost, feeling really lost after like a high last month. And now I'm like at a super low.
Mm-hmm. So it's okay to feel lost, and it's okay to feel exactly how you're feeling in this moment. And the stuckness, I want to bring back the awareness to, what are you so fearful of that stopped you from taking action, that stopped you from doing the things that were helping you to feel good and embodied?
I'm still doing them and they don't seem to be having the same effect. Is that really how I want to word it? Like I'm still doing them and I'm still having this other stuckness.
Mm-hmm. And
Like I
so
feel like
that's,
I'm trapped in a way in something
yeah.
that I can't quite like grasp.
Mm-hmm. And so where are you feeling trapped in your physical body?
I'm feeling not so trapped in my physical body, but maybe more just like trapped in my life, like that I can't bring any change about and I can't see. I feel maybe clouded in my intuition and like guidance.
Okay.
Like there's
So
no way out.
So when you're speaking, you're holding your heart a lot.
Yeah.
So you're in protection of your heart. And when you were talking about, I feel clouded in my intuition, you put your hands to your forehead. So when I asked you the question, where are you feeling stuck in your body? You're feeling stuck in your heart and you're feeling stuck in your third eye. And so these are the energy centers to work on. And it's time to change the routine and mix things up. And those are the two things to work on to get those communicating to each other more fully. Because the mind is focused on the external. It's easy to focus on the story of the collective. It's easy to focus on the story of the fear. It's easy to focus on the story of the politics. That is the program. That is the program that is very specifically designed to have you responding in an emotional state of fear. Don't give it the satisfaction. Take back your power, right? And take back your energy. Work with the heart and work with the third eye. That's your first step. I won't give you step 50. Just work on step 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And Kim, I want to share with you that I've been going through a similar wave of season, we'll call it. I'm not as connected. Something isn't right. It's like it's off. Things aren't moving forward. I kind of feel stuck. It's just hanging there in inertia. With prospects, but the prospects aren't moving. Everything's just kind of just in its holding space, and it's uncomfortable. And I was looking for, all right, let me connect with my guides. Let me drop in. Let me go into meditation. Let me go move my body. Let me do these other things. And I was looking for a lot of mechanisms outside of myself, even connecting to my guides and the ascended masters that have been so alive for me over the last few years as really way showers and planting seeds so that I can see the light of the path that I was walking. Um, and then I finally got to a place and I heard it so clearly. Your guides aren't showing up in the same way. It's not that they're not there. What you've been reaching out for to provide illumination within yourself is still available, but it's been made as an assistance that is secondary to your own ability to generate this within yourself. And so we talked about earlier, coming back to our leadership, to owning what we've acquired, our maturity and the seeds that we've planted within ourselves. There's a sprouting of getting to know that so intimately that we hold that the outside sources, while so benevolent and masterful and of the highest energies, are so potent that we're at the next level of our own embodiment and acquisition. And it's there that we have to begin working with that which we have within rather than seek it from an outside source. To seek safety because there's not riding in LA that may be 75 miles away from you or maybe 3 miles away from you. I don't know, but it's not at your doorstep. To seek comfort for that is to seek comfort outside of yourself. you find that peace within you, you'll find a peacefulness in every situation, even if it's not safe, because the trust that we acquire within ourselves and our capacity to navigate anything that this incarnation would bring, anything. But again, the outside world, the way that we've been entrained, tells us that it's dangerous and we are going to be eliminated at any time. My inside world says, amazing. I came here for this experience and to be of service through that experience. And when my source and my supply, which is the divine, determines per our mutual planned agreement that my light is to go somewhere else, then I am in surrender, not in fear. I am in mastery and not in acquiescence of the internal source power of light that I be and that I exhibit and choose to share with this world. It's a practice. It's a building and a strengthening that's happening within me personally now. But it has been uncomfortable feeling disconnected. It has been uncomfortable not knowing, but not knowing. It has been uncomfortable feeling like I'm despondent and not as vital as I typically am or prefer to be. But there's something expanding within me and within you and within so many of us that we're going through that catharsis of the blooming of the cracking open of the seed. Because it's time. This is the time that we've been waiting for, and we just weren't going to poof into that mastery. We go to the gym and we break a sweat and we do the things to get stronger and to get more resilient and to look the way that we want to look. It's happening in our spirituality and our awakening process deeply. It's uncomfortable as hell.
Winter.
Right? But if we have a recognition of it and context for it, we can breathe more into it. We can have, again, that compassion, that sympathy for ourselves as we go through. And as we have it, as I have it for myself, it allows me to witness you in your journey and go, sister, I love you. And I'm cheering you through it because I'm going through my version over here. And we get to do this for each other, which is so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up and for allowing this transmission. It's been wanting to come through. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you both so much.
Zoe, I'd love to move on to Sheila if you're ready.
Yes,
Sheila,
I am. Hi, John. Thank you so much for your wonderful show and the great people that you bring on year after year after year. So I hope the change that's coming your way doesn't involve not doing that.
Awesome.
And also, I like the fact that you talk about consuming and being conscious of our choices. I'm an environmentalist. And we talk a lot about abundance in the spiritual community. And, when you get right down to it, like everybody is wanting a lot of stuff, but it's not working out for the planet. And so then when you spoke again, you talked about your source and supply being in the divine. So I'd just like to, acknowledge that you said that and ask that people remember that when they're desiring abundance that has to do with a lot of stuff. Zoe, I've heard you speak a number of times, but this is the first time that I've had a chance to interact. So I can really identify with what so many people are expressing here today. I feel like I live my life in the unknown. Like I'm always, trying to figure out the next step and writing notes to myself and writing lists and all this kind of stuff. And I'm in it in spades right now. One of the things that's happening is that I'm also an artist and my art is spiritual. And so I've got my environmental work and my artwork, competing. And So right now I'm going through a process of clearing out a lot of stuff in my environment. And it's not so much that I consume so much, but that I get attached to things. So I feel like I'm paving the way for where I'm going next. I don't know if you can tune into it or not, but I would really love to hear you say something about the environment and the art, which I'm trying to fuse right now. And just to see if you sense any kind of direction that things might be going in or have the capacity to go in.
Well, thank you for your sweet sharing, Sheila. I appreciate you. And I just want to bring awareness to the choice of wording that you shared, that your art is in competition with the environmental work. And then you're looking at how to bring them together. Is that right?
Yes.
So where is the belief that you don't get to dance in these different versions of yourself? Where are you in the belief that you have to choose one or the other?
Well, I think that part of the problem is that I feel like the environment work is more left brain, and the artistic work is more right brain. So right now, you know, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm involved so much in my environmental work that there's hardly room for the art. Most of my art has been created over in Maui, where I spend a great deal of my time in the cold winter months. Otherwise, I'm here in Nova Scotia. And I seem to have to get out of my, executive state of mind kind of thing to give the art the attention it needs.
Okay. So the mind seems to have a clear hold on how it wants to do the environmental work, and also on how it wants to do the art as well. So it's given itself a very limited set of expectations of how you choose to be creative, which is quite interesting. And so when you were sharing, what I was seeing for you energetically is this dance, this beautiful wave, and there was like this waves of energy moving like this, almost like these dolphins kind of flowing and swimming with each other. So I'd say it's not necessarily you have to pick one or the other. It's actually the integration that you're looking for is not necessarily then only getting to do this or only getting to do that. It's how you get to learn to dance with both, right? We are multifaceted, multidimensional, creative, scientific, left brain, right brain, beings. And we are here to express in so many different versions of ourselves. And what I was getting for you is to let go of the belief, especially with the art, that it can only be like this, right? And even if that's that you decide, okay, for an hour every day, I'm going to allow myself to get into a space of creativity. So whether that's putting on your favorite music, whether that's dancing around, getting into your body, and doing a different type of art. Maybe it's finger painting. Maybe it's just doing some scraps or collaging or pottery or something different to reprogram the mind that you also get to show up in your creativity and also do your environmental work. Right? And so it doesn't have to be such a very linear, controlled environment. And I get it, it's worked for you for a while up until this point. But if you're getting to a point of then having to choose these versions of you, because I think that you're really passionate about both.
Yes.
And I don't think that it is in your soul's desire, in your beingness, to have to choose.
Right. I've gone through a lot with, maybe I should do way, way less of the environmental work. I can't. It's like in my blood.
It's in your blood. And so so let go of denying yourself any versions of you and find new and inventive ways to incorporate and integrate the different versions,
Hmm.
right?
What's
Thank
beautiful
you so
also,
much. Yeah.
yeah, we get into seasons, right? It's like you're not gonna jump into like in a bikini during a winter season.
No,
And we don't
well,
judge that because it's like, nah, no, thank you. I mean, we can, but
unless you're Wim Hof.
you're not gonna frolic as much as you might typically during the summer months. But I also see we have these opposing forces, and where can we even drop into like gratitude that this dichotomy exists? That while I get to be an artist and I get to do this, and that when I'm in my environmental, this passionate, protective, wise one who has a particular education gets to share from that expression. And when I'm in my artistry, it's my respite, it's my creative time that refuels me and recharges me. And they're a circuitry rather than two separate things. So they're a loop that feed each other rather than it's either this or that. And like Zoe was saying, where do we find times to feed that, which could be your meditation? You know, I come to Kauai when I travel after traveling. It's like my recharge station. Thank you. I can see why you go to Maui to
Yeah.
recharge. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
great. That Lemurian energy is amazing. But again, it's when we're so gifted in so many different ways and so good at it, and they both feed, or the different aspects feed that aliveness in us. Where is it that they don't necessarily have to merge? The cousins don't have to get along, right? They can, or the sisters don't always have to be on the same page, but still love one another and see how their contribution. But the mother still loves both daughters equally. Right? There is no judgment. Oh, I love that one better than the other one. She's more cool and she's more fun. It's like it's like, no, they're both feeding my soul. And I get to pour my expression of love into each of them in their own unique way. And if they want to merge and come together, it's none of my business. They'll merge if they want to. Let them do what they want to do, as I have chosen, and I was chosen to give birth to them. And let them create their own consciousness. They'll let me know. They'll let me know. But I'm going to nourish one in the way that that particular one needs to be nourished.
I don't know if I'm still live, but it's interesting that you talked about I forget how you said your last sentence, but at any rate, just before you said that sentence, I was thinking to myself, well, I can ask them, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So how fun that we get to play with them. Again, we're playing, Zoe, we're playing with multi-dimensional energies. We're aware of a small percentage of what's going on physically, but spiritually and energetically, and our consciousness is catching up and opening up doorways that there's other aspects that we're having relational dynamics with that we can start articulating from this physical form in ways that we never conceived of before. So how do I communicate with that? How do I create an intimacy and an expansion and awareness that that exists so I can foster its growth within me? And that's why I love having Zoe on. And I love that she's bringing sessions and these libraries and these channels, because she brings us back into an ignition of that multi-dimensional truth that we're slowly discovering within ourselves. So it's extraordinary. Yeah. Sheila, thank you so much. Have fun. My God.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thanks. Thanks.
There's some great questions that are coming through the webinar chart, but I've spoken a lot today, Zoe, and thank you. There's just a lot that's coming through in the conversation. I want to get into the special offer because, again, the opportunity to work with you, period, is amazing. To work with you at this price point is extremely rare. And the fact that you're bringing in a live webinar, like Kim attended, a group of calls with you before and the impact that they have. It's truly a gift for our BTO audience. So everybody on the call listening to the replay, click on the special offer button and follow through with Zoe as Zoe's going to explain exactly where you're going to be the beneficiary of when you choose to sign up for the special offer. And Zoe, please take it away.
Thank you. I love the questions today as well. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I am offering access to a full library of meditations and activations. So it's about 8 to 10 hours worth of content. And there's the idea with the library is they're 5 minutes, 10 minute, 20 minute, 25 minutes. I think one of them is like 90 minutes. A couple of them are 90 minutes, but they're short and impactful meditations to help you feel more grounded, help you feel more open, help you feel more in your heart. And so dependent on what you are needing, then you can just go through the library and pick out one that is supportive for you at that time. One of my favorite ones is the golden heart meditation, which was channeled through on the beaches of Tulum about 3 years ago. I did a 3-day coconut water fast, and I got this hit to go to the ocean and connect with the sun. And I just was receiving all of these golden codes from the sun, and it channeled through as a meditation, and I recorded it that day. So it's personally one of my favorites. They've all got beautiful stories to them as to how they were channeled through, but that's particularly my favorite one on that. And then you'll have access to a live call that I wanted to bring us together for a community call on July the 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific. And so leave around 2 to 2.5 hours open for this call, because I want us to go into a really deep meditation process. And then through that, we're going to open up to align more to how to flow more with the waves of these 2025 energies. I'm going to bring through any important messages from our guides and team at that time. So it will be a channeled transmission. And then we'll also go into some activation work and some breath work to help really ground and integrate those energies into our physical body. So I'll give you a full list of how to prepare for that transmission beforehand. And then I'll leave some space for questions at the end. So the idea with this is, obviously I can't see you all physically, but I always envision these calls that we're sat in this beautiful sacred circle together, and we can tune in energetically in that moment. And if you can't make it live, you will get access to the recording, and then you'll have lifetime access to that as well. And they're really great to tune in and listen to whenever you are needing that remembrance, that activation, and that reconnection. And then also part of the package is you'll receive a 30-minute private session with me, which we cover a lot of ground in that 30 minutes. I'll give you preparation or questions to send me ahead of time so I can start tuning into your energy. And then as soon as we start the session, I'll bring through any guidance, information for you on your path at that time. I'll leave space for questions. And they are really laser focused sessions to get you back into clarity, get you back into your purpose, and allow you to feel more embodied and personally empowered of the choices that you're currently making, to hopefully open up that deeper alignment moving forwards, particularly for this second half of 2025. So we cover a range of topics. Generally, what happens is I will tune into your energy, and I'll either ask you questions first of what you want to put into the space, or I'll start receiving information that will come through for you first. They kind of go one of two ways. So they're either that or the other. And then you will also get access to recording. And I highly, highly recommend to every single person I've had these private sessions with is to listen to the call at least twice more afterwards, because quite often there's activations, there's little tools, there's exercises for you to do to help you beyond that session as well. So there we go.
Amazing. All of this is $197. There's a 2-payment option. Again, you get a 30-minute session, private session with Zoe. You're going to go into the live group call, Navigating the Spiritual Currents of 2025, and y'all to receive support into the newness of what is demonstrating itself now, and to be in community, to see in ways that we can't see necessarily by ourselves. We lift each other's up. And so to have the capacity of someone who's a visionary and oracle guide this, it will awaken the wisdom within you, but you'll also receive, again, perspective. It's like, it helps with that light bulb shift. It's like, oh, of course, if that's available, then I can do this. And sometimes it's just cracking that door open a little bit that provides the wave of movement that we've been hoping for, that we weren't quite feeling, or expands the door even wider if you are feeling it, and brings in more motivation, and also a sense of how to ground in that new creative energy, because I know that's happening for a lot of people right now. Also, there's a lot of creative energy, create, but it's like, how do I ground it all in? How do I bring it to fruition? There's so much going on, and it's just breathing into it. So again, navigating these currents of 2025, I think, is going to be an amazing call that's going to take place July 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific time zone. So you have it on your calendar there. For all of y'all who are going to ask about the dates, I thought I'd mention it. And of course, like Zoe said, it'll be recorded. And then to get into the library of the recordings, Zoe's going to take you into the abundance garden, the golden expansion technique, manifesting thought into form, finding clarity, higher self connection, message of the day, embody your future, rainbow light of receptivity, and so much more. You can read it on the special offer page. It's a pretty robust package that Zoe's bringing to today's call. I hope y'all take advantage of it. And again, to do so, the link is right underneath the video, whether you're watching live or on the replay. And if you're on YouTube, you click below on the comment section, you'll find the link for the special offer there. And you can always find the replays and the special offers at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And so there you have it, y'all. Take advantage of this opportunity to work with Zoe one-on-one, truly. And Zoe, thank you for bringing this on. So I want to ask you, there's a couple of questions that I want to address that came in the chat box also. Why don't we go into that? But I'm going to ask you for something before we end today's call. So we'll get into that surprise in a little bit. It's a beautiful surprise, y'all. I think it's something that we're all going to benefit from. Claire wrote, if I want to achieve a goal that feels hard or complicated to reach, but I'm sure it's going to happen because I can see it as real in the future, how can I bring it to present and break that lineal time?
That's a good question. So again, I'm choosing to shift my emotional state to feeling that is already been created. And how, because most of the times when we are in a future expectation of self or wanting to manifest a goal, it's because of how it's going to make us feel, right? And so allowing yourself to feel that as it already has been created. And that is the everyday connection to that vision. And then through that emotional state of allowing that has already happened in your field and feeling good about it and feeling all the feels, tuning in, what is the next step? What is the next actionable step? And listening every single day, what's the next step? What's the next step? What is in alignment? And your guidance will come through rest. Your guidance will come through take a walk. Your guidance will come through pull a card. Your guidance will come through rest your body, right? And so it's tuning in the micro moments each and every second, but not from a space of control or attachment or expectation. It's fluid. What is my next step? Surrender. What is my next step? Letting go. And if you want to add anything more to that, John.
Surrender, letting go are huge. I mean, that's
That's the
really
lifetime of work.
and it's not letting go, but it's I got guided through a process a few days ago, and it was so beautiful. And I was asked to imagine a bird in my hand and imagine what that bird would look like. And all the creations that I want to put out into the world, everything that I'm inspired that just isn't landing or not moving, or I don't know why it's stuck. And to see it and close my eyes and to see that bird, that beautiful, colorful bird, fly away, to set it free. Let it go. See if it comes back. To really release it and feel my body just resting and relaxing, and the holding on so tight, trying to keep it in the cage with a door open, or I'm pretending the door is open when it's really not. And then there's the openness also, and that surrender and that letting go. There's the openness, and it's hard. This is initiation for so many of us, of receiving, of really receiving. If that bird comes back, that it does want to create with you, that it does love you, that it wants to contribute something to you, and that we're open to receiving from its consciousness, not the way that I think its consciousness is supposed to be. And the gift of that is also a part of this expansion of creation and new creation, if you will. The expansionary energies of 2025. They're teaching us not about control and manipulation and hierarchy, which is what we say we want to leave behind, but we're doing our creations in that, and about really cutting the thread that has bound the creation or relational aspect to us, because we felt that we had to control the outcome of what its potential might be. And so opening to receive something once we let it go and let it come back into from its full grace and its full love, and being open enough to be penetrated by its benevolence and its desire to truly want to be with us. Because if something that inspirational wants to be with us, why did it choose me? Who am I to receive this? Can I really surrender into the authenticity and the integrity of what's it's showing up? And I think that's one of the huge challenges that we're in right now. Also, that there's a lot of goodness that is there. It's there. It's not wanting to be created, but we're resisting allowing it in, and we're trying to hold on to the old ways of how it's supposed to demonstrate so that we can feel safer by the tidal wave, not completely drowning us, really our ego, into non-existence, because we have to create a whole new way of relating with that and with one another. So it's potent what's coming through. Thank you for asking, because it's huge. There's a lot of great questions. Let me see let me look at our time now. Oh, good, we got time. So KT wrote, next step, I keep seeing triple numbers throughout the day, and I think this is meant to be and able to relax for the next step. What do you notice about synchronicities and coincidences and these signs? Are you having experiences with things happening that are supposedly miraculous that are kind of guiding?
I always have a cosmic joke with the universe when I don't see any synchronicity and I don't see any numbers and I don't have those like little moments. And I ask, like, am I just really disconnected? Am I in a low frequency right now? Am I living in 3D? And it's almost instantaneous where something will pop into my field and I'll chuckle. And then my little child is, oh yeah, of course I'm connected. Because we're always connected. We're always connected. It's always our awareness of how we choose to view the external reality. And we can have fun with it and ask for more guidance, right? And ask for more, because it's all light, it's all energy, it's all information. And it's how we're choosing to focus our minds on that truth guiding us through with love and compassion. Or we can be in the not self theme of that, right? Which is that control, that expectation, that judgment of self, of where we thought we would be. And, you know, John, you've gone into things of this in such detail today with your journey as well. So thank you for that. And that is part of what 2025 is continuously inviting us into. This isn't that, yes, we can have growth. Yes, we can manifest. Yes, we can experience blissful states of euphoria and abundance and creative expression and equally 2025 is also a massive year of completion. And so having more patience with the spaciousness of our expectation of time to allow for how things want to show up and land into our field. And, you know, last year I was in Mazatlan in Mexico, and it was for the solar eclipse. And you can look through the an obsidian stone to see the eclipse. It's probably one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life. And what the Mayans taught is when you look through this obsidian stone and you look at the solar eclipse, that it's a gateway into instant manifestation for your life, and that you can start to manifest. I did the opposite when I looked through. I actually released any expectations to goals and attachments to manifesting. And I have spent since then in a complete state of nothingness and nowhereness, and allowing what wants to show up in alignment for me. And whenever I'm moving more into that goal expectation and attachment, I'm bringing it back to, how can I more deeply embody my truth? And with that, there are so many beautiful experiences of synchronicity and moments of joy and that open up. And there are things in this previous year that I definitely could not have predicted for myself. And John knows that. I've spoken about it on a previous show. And so if I had been holding on to these goals and expectations of the year, well, there was a complete side experience that was actually awaiting for me. And it was in the releasing and the surrendering of those goals that this deeper level of embodiment came through. And I'm not the same person I was a year ago looking through that obsidian stone because of that. And so it's amazing to have goals. It's amazing to be excited. It's amazing to wake up and feel expanded and excited for life, to move forward. And it's also amazing to be in the releasing and surrendering of that. So we get to be both. We get to have the simultaneous awareness of that.
And again, the awareness is also coming through in our psychic awareness. We consider our psychic awareness, but our ability to read the field and what's coming through. And in that, I'm totally with you, and I'll share experience also. But I want to talk about this for just a second before I ask you the favor that I'm going to ask you. But Annette writes, more and more recently, random thoughts have come to be later on in the day. I don't know if I'm psychic or what. And you're attuning. There's like, we're able to listen better, and we're able to hold that in ways that perhaps we weren't able to hold it before. It's someone that you're going to talk to in a couple of days. Is someone that I met 3 years ago, a wonderful person, and she came into my consciousness about 2 weeks ago. I hadn't thought about her. I wasn't sure what she was doing, but just the thought of this person just popped into my head. 3 hours later, I saw a post on her on Instagram, which I hadn't seen from her at all, with a particular thread of thought that I was having. 3 days after that, she appeared on a very exclusive or very private Zoom webinar where there were 7 people on that call, and she's randomly on that call. I had no association with her at all. And she goes, yeah, I got invited to this 2 days ago. I just met this other person, and she invited me beyond, and there was this person again. And I sent out an email. I put a notification. I shared Zoe's post on Instagram that she's gonna be on the show, and Danny reaches out. It's like, hey, I'm talking to Zoe in a couple of days. We're gonna be having a call. We're supposed to drop in. So it's fun that that's happening, and we get to pay attention of where we're more tuned into the field than we believe that we can. We have a capacity to say, oh my God, I must be psychic, and that's an anomaly, and normalize it more. Of course, this is happening. Alignment's taking place. Something is demonstrating to me, and I'm open and curious about how they may want to unfold. I want to make what we have called woo-woo for a long time, and even owned as woo-woo, even though we judged other people for thinking that we were woo and weird. Because in some aspects, we've kept it weird by even saying, I must be psychic. Instead of going, I'm tuned in. And of course, this stuff comes up where there's alignment, and I'm curious what I'm going to do, or what wants to be created through that alignment. I'm open to receive. I'm open to be in a relational dynamic with that, or I'm not, and we get to choose. begin to normalize this majestic multidimensionality that we get to experience. I think that's part of the energies of 2025 also. We're embodying, we're becoming aware, and we're learning how to, I'll say, utilize it from the highest place, not as a usury type of way, but how to create with it in ways that we've never created before. So it's amazing. Zoe, one thing that we haven't spoken about today, and we haven't really gone down that rabbit hole, but we haven't spoken about your light language and your transmissions.
Mm.
Is that something that's still active for you? And if it is, I'd love it if you could share a transmission of light for us before we end today's call.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's not something that I actively am speaking every day. That I always went through this shift about a year and a half ago, John, where even the voice was feeling that that was the frequency coming through. And I still love light language, and I'll happily bring through a transmission. And much like you have experienced as well, as we go through so many different awarenesses of how to connect and how to bring energy through. And so, yes, light language still comes through at times when it is present. And also the voice comes through at times when it is present. And I don't know, I mean, you probably weren't seeing my hands moving this whole entire session, but I'm underneath the screen. The hands are kind of moving a lot, bringing in through information. And that's how I'm channeling the energy as well. So, okay. So when you are all ready, just closing down your eyes and focusing on your breathing. And I'm just going to ask for an acceleration of energy to come through so that you will receive the energy transmission that is supportive for your highest available timeline for this current day and your week and your month. And let's put in this year as well to recalibrate the nervous system at a cellular, atomic, and subatomic level. And connecting to our higher selves and interdimensional beings of light and all energy that is not here for the highest good to go home and evolve. Just feeling yourself in your breath, in your presence, your stillness, your body, feeling yourself connecting into the ground, the earth, the crystalline core. Allowing yourself to give yourself permission to be open to receiving the transmission of energy, the transmission of light. And allowing this to wash over you like a golden, abundant rain shower, calling through all that is for your highest. Yatare sho yatare kiandara kiato so shiatama. Ia sufu yatakani yato shiatara ia suya naka. Rekiato yakore tu su shianda koyamo tu shitiamo. Isu fuyata ikarane sisu tuyana. I koyariano sufuya pariana koyasa. Si fuya tarane kiatosha. Isu fuya tareni gamo suya. Isu fuya ta kiatosha. Ia tarania suya. Ia gariano suya. A deep breath in. Deep breath out through the mouth. Deep breath in. Deep breath out through the mouth. So when you're ready, just slowly opening your eyes and coming into space.
Thank you, Zoe. What a great way to end today's call. Today's call felt like such an integration.
Yeah.
And the
Same, same.
landing and just like breathing into this beautiful power that's radiating from all of us. And I can feel it on the call. I can feel it with the participants. I can feel it with all of y'all on here. There's something that is enlivening in the field. Zoe, thank you for creating a space where that can be nourished, where the transmission of the voice and of course of the light language, and the wisdom that you shared through your own embodied experience is again providing illumination into what's available for all of us. Beautiful call, just such a peaceful, calm, expansive call. So grateful for what you're bringing in. And thank you for the special offer, y'all. The special offer again, the library of all the meditations, the live call that's happening, the group call in, the 30-minute one-on-one session with Zoe. Y'all take advantage of it. Again, the link is right underneath the video where you're watching the call. It's also, there's a link in the chat box if you prefer to click on that. Or if you're watching the call on YouTube, look in the comments section for the link or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace and you'll find the link for the special offer and the replay there as well. Thank you, Zoe. It's been amazing. It's great to connect.
Yeah, you too, John. It's been, yeah, I feel like it was a beautiful integration. I felt like we've both received so much and the community from this time together. So forever grateful. Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us from the UK. Enjoy your evening. And everyone on the call, I hope you enjoyed today's transmission and that you sit and breathe and allow it to activate you even more in its own awareness, in its own divine timing, in its own intelligence. And thank you for being the lights that you are. I bow down to each and every one of you and namaste. And look forward to seeing you on the next call.